we've gone too far. The pendulum has swung far too far in many ways. And the apex of that, in my studied view, is a currency system that fails. And this could change rapidly. And when it changes, whether it's rapidly or slowly over time, it changes. And during that change, it's not only a change of value, it's a change of values, meaning what we just outlined. It was what is meaningful, what is important, what do I cherish, what do I take with me?
This is Kaiser Johnson with Liberty and Finance, and this is the Miles Franklin Weekly Special for October 23rd through October 30th, 2023, while supplies last. This week we feature 3 different specials. 1 10th-ounce Gold Philharmonics at $30 over melt with a minimum order of 5. Half-ounce silver polar bears at $2.75 over melt with a minimum order of 100. And 1-ounce platinum maples at $80 over spot. The Austrian Philharmonic is the most popular bullion coin in Europe. And the gold 1 10th-ounce Philharmonic offers additional flexibility along with investor trust. With your order of 5 or more, you pay only $30 over melt. Next, the Royal Canadian Mint is one of the most trusted mints in the world, and the half-ounce polar bear is one of their most popular Call of the Wild coins. 1/2 ounce of 4/9 fine silver, it's available at just $2.75 over melt per coin with a minimum order of 100. Also from the Royal Canadian Mint, we have the 1-ounce platinum maple at just $80 over spot. Many consider platinum to be a highly undervalued metal at the moment, since over the last 30 years, platinum has generally been significantly more expensive than gold, but currently sits at less than half the spot price. Best of all, the 1-ounce platinum maple is just $80 over spot, giving you access to a premier coin in a premier metal at one of the lowest prices in 20 years. All of our specials this week are IRA eligible. And if you'd like to learn more about a precious metals IRA, call us and we'll be happy to help you in that process. To order our specials or any of the many other options we have available, call us at 1-888-81-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-815-4237. We're available after hours and on weekends, and we look forward to speaking with you.
Hey everyone, this is Elijah K. Johnson with Liberty and Finance. And back with us today is our good friend David Morgan from the Morgan Report. David, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, my pleasure, Elijah. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's great to have you today. I did want to ask you about the run-up we've seen in the gold and silver price recently. It seems like we've seen a pretty good pop here, about 10% or so. Your perspective on what we're seeing?
I think we're seeing the beginning of what I think it will be the final leg up in the precious metals. I believe there's been a shift in asset allocation because, one, bombs move markets. So there's the war, and that, of course, puts a different perspective on financial commerce. The other part is the banks themselves have moved heavily into gold over the last year and this year. They continue to be big buyers of gold. And I think also the idea that the United States government debt sector, the bond market, considered to be the safest investment that you can make, really isn't. And that's the truth. And the truth is being put out in the marketplace, where you're seeing not only the higher interest rates, which means lower bond prices, but you're seeing China sell off more U.S. bonds than they have in a great deal of years. You're also seeing Japan is probably going to be selling off some of their U.S. treasuries. And so this whole question of just how valid is it that the U.S. debt market is sacrosanct and that, it's the best investment you can make? Again, it's not. So because of that, you're seeing a shift into what is. And what is something that's lasted 4,000 or 5,000 years, and that's gold. And because of that fact, you're seeing this move. Now, does that, it answers your question, can I prove that that's what this last move is all about? No, I cannot. But we did see from about October 6th, 7th, 8th at about 1830 all the way up to 1970 or so, by the near the end of October, as you said, that's quite a move, and it is. And I do believe that we're getting ready to launch higher past the all-time high nominal terms in gold around 2070 before the end of this year. And I want to remind everyone, and anyone that follows your channel knows this, but it bears repeating for new people, that $2070 as a gold price in US dollar terms is a bigger number than 850 in 1980. But if you took the all-time high in 1980 at 850 and you adjusted for inflation, it would be far higher than 2070 is today. So yes, it's a new high, but in real terms, it's not a new high. Once that's reached and that becomes support rather than resistance, we're in a new paradigm. We're in a new ballgame. We're in a situation where we'll see more and more momentum come into the precious metals. Silver's been lagging, but at some point it will play catch up, and I still believe it will exceed gold in percentage terms once this new leg starts in a very big way, let's say.
Now, I know back in February, March of 2022, when we saw the Ukraine war break out, we saw a huge increase in gold, and it sharply sold off after that. So it wasn't a lasting impact. It seems like in this situation, in this conflict, in this war, that things could escalate a lot worse really quickly. Your perspective on that and the financial ramifications of this. You mentioned how you don't really see gold coming back. In fact, you see it rallying from here. So your aspects of the financial ramifications of this, and also kind of how it impacts gold.
So just to be clear, we might get another downturn or two. I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, I called the top. I still trade gold, not very often. One of my trading partners that we kind of have to collaborate, I'm saying take half our profits. I said that a few days ago when gold was higher, because I am expecting some kind of pushback from the 2000 level, which we did hit exactly that. But longer term, I coined a phrase, as far as I know, that silver will scare you out or wear you out, meaning that it could get these very abrupt moves that go very quickly, like we're outlining gold has done recently. And then you could get the wear you out where it just doesn't do a darn thing forever. And you're just watching paint dry. I'm just not with this market anymore. I want to use that as a basis for what lies ahead. I think you're going to see gold, breach the 2070, we said a minute ago. And then it might start a new trading range where it bores people. But the idea is that it's in a new arena. In other words, it's setting a new high and walling around in that new higher ground. Let's say it's 2,200 to 2,300 as an example. This is where it may wear you out. This is showing you that the market's accumulating gold in a trading range. And this is where you want to be patient. Because once it continues up, there's going to be a point of no return. What I mean by that is once the market goes parabolic, it will accelerate. And everyone that's waiting for the pullback, waiting for a better price, thinking they should, do this or that, well, maybe I'll sell some real estate and buy gold, the market will run away from them. A bull market means that it'll shake off as many participants as it possibly can. So believe it or not, there'll be, I wouldn't say very few, but there will be a lot of people left behind that are gold bulls right now. There'll be people that own gold and silver right now that the market's worn them out, or the next phase that's a wear out phase will say, oh, the heck with it. I don't need this much gold, or it's really not doing what it should be doing, or these type of things. And the market will take advantage of that, and you'll sell out just before the big move. So I think the best approach is to get a core position and just don't think about it until you need it or want to make a sale or whatever. So long-winded explanation, but I could only say from my own experience and those of many, many investors I've talked to over 4 decades. And that is, you got to take a logical approach. We know the fiat system fails. What do? You buy precious metals. How much? That's a personal decision. But don't expect it to be there every day, reaffirming your belief system. Look at it for what it is. It's God's money that's there for whatever purpose or whatever need that you may have in the future, and leave it at that. almost everybody that rides the bull up may not ride it to the exact top, but they will have fulfillment, satisfaction, and peace of mind as things unravel further. And in my mindset, that not only means personal calmness, but also the ability to help calm those around you, such as your family, your friends, your neighbors, your community, or whatever. So, and
you mentioned gold being preparedness, and as you mentioned, it's really good to have something kind of solid to weather the storm. I did want to ask you what other countries are doing right now. We're seeing China. It's the 11th straight month of gold buying by the Chinese now, adding to their positions. Your perspective on that? September marking that 11th straight month.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I was one of the first to write about it. Michael Rupert, I forget the name of his letter, From the Wilderness, I believe is the name of it. He's left us years ago, but he was the first to mention the gold yuan. And I looked at his work and I kind of seconded that idea at the time, that that's a possibility. And now with BRICS, it looks like it's coming to the fore again. Whether or not that is going to happen, I don't know. Anyone that says it's absolute is misinformed unless they happen to be in the CCP at the very, very top level. Even there, I don't think they've made up their mind. What it does show is this move that we've talked about. The banks, and especially foreign countries that I wouldn't call them necessarily adversarial to the United States, but this global one world situation has been breaking apart for quite some time. And with the war efforts going on, it will continue in that way. So the idea that, going to have all get along with this one world government, no, I don't think that's going to take place. So what will take place is nation states will look after their own means of survival. And as we've watched, band together with the like ideology, and that's where BRICS comes in. There's a lot of differences in cultures and work ethic and manufacturing capabilities and all that among the BRICS. So that in itself doesn't guarantee it will work, but it does guarantee that there is a idea whose time has come, which means we're tired of the Anglo-American empire. We're tired of the London-based financial control mechanism that has been pervasive on the planet for so long. And we want an alternative. And I think that's the key takeaway. Will gold be involved? Yes. How much? I don't know. I think it will be gradual. I don't think it'll be initial. I don't think that the BRICS payment system will involve gold directly, at least at first. And I'm not sure it will be redeemable with a BRICS currency, although it could be, but I doubt it.
Now, you mentioned kind of a changing you could say, I guess, geopolitical environment here, where it seems like it's more on a local level. How is that going to impact people in the U.S. when, it seemed like we were moving towards globalism, and now there's this de-globalism, kind of every country for themselves, or just some different blocks of countries for themselves. How is that going to impact the average person living in the U.S.?
Well, good and bad. I mean, you'll see a lot of jobs come back onshore, it's called, but you also see higher prices because the labor rates in China are far less than they are in many other jurisdictions. And you won't see the diversity that you have in, products, but you will see more of a nationalistic attitude, not only in the U.S., but everywhere, but yes, specifically about the United States. And I think there'll be a shift in consciousness. And what I mean by that is that people will recognize that things have changed, maybe for the better, depends on your perspective. But there'll be some more, I guess you call it nationalism or national pride that takes place because of this dynamic that's going to be quite substantial over time. I look at it primarily as a good thing. I mean, I'm not totally a pacifist. I'm certainly not with my convictions, but I also think, having the United States in almost every country in the world with a military base is rather arrogant on our part as well. So you're going to see a lot of changes. over the next few years. And it's not only going to be in the monetary side, it's going to be geopolitically, as you said, Elijah, and you're also going to see less, not more. You won't have the ability to see, 12 different kinds of pickle manufacturers in the deli case at your local supermarket. You might be down to one or two, that type of thing. In other words, a lower lifestyle for everybody across the board.
Now, as for preparations for this, obviously holding something that preserves its value is very good. In other ways, what can people prepare? How can people prepare besides just investing in precious metals?
Well, there's other hard assets. I mean, if you own a lumber yard or a clothing store, or and own bolts of cloth, or a lot of lumber, or whatever. I mean, those are hard assets as well. But generally speaking, on a more spiritual side, it's your attitude. I mean, if chance favors the prepared mind, one of my favorite quotes. So if you're prepared mentally for, let's say, a decrease in lifestyle, maybe a more simpler way of life, perhaps, maybe having to cut out the Netflix because you can't afford it, or it just helps you save that extra $25 a month, or what have you. All those things, I think, are cumulative and will hopefully, and in my perspective, will change the alignment of what is value. And what I mean by that is we've gotten far too materialistic in the West, in my opinion. And because of that, we value things that really aren't that valuable. I mean, just to pick on the millennials a little bit, if all your day consists of, a bunch of selfies and what you ate and where you're going and what you're doing and how shiny your car is and all those rather superfluous things, rather than a deeper meaning as far as what is your purpose here, what are you contributing to society at large, or making the world a better place, I think those things will fade away, the superficial type of identities that it's not only millennials hold to be valuable, and realize what really is valuable is, integrity, your family, living your word, your community, perhaps your faith. These things all start to become more and more talked about, realized, discussed, and it's a good thing, in my opinion. I think tried and true truths of the ages hold value. These principles are important because they have stood the test of time. And every generation, you read The Fourth Turning, you get in these four groups, has to learn these lessons over again. When I was in the movie, the Four Horsemen film, that was a very good film. Certainly not because I was in it, but because it showed you that these cycles come and go over and over again. So as in Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun. Humanity's been here before, and we're going to get through it, and I think come out the other side better than ever.
And you mentioned how chance favors the prepared mind. I think, as you mentioned, that's a really good line there. And it is so interesting that, I guess, the way that we're going, and we're so used to nowadays just being able to click a button and have Amazon deliver something so quickly. But if we're really looking at a future that we're doing things more on a local level, building relationships with people close to us, and that seems to be in a lot of ways like a good thing in some circumstances. I know building community is a very good thing to do in preparation for this. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd shout out to James Howard Kunstler. I mean, World by Hand, I think, is one of his books. I mean, basically, he talks about, going to just simpler lifestyle. You talk with Cliff High, SOC, self-organizing communities. I mean, really, from my perspective, and I got a few years on you, when you get to the end, I mean, what do you really have? And it's your memories. And really, it's your association with other people. And it's not a superficial, social media type of exchange. It's those people you actually sat down and had a meal with, or had a discussion with, or had an argument with, or wrote back and forth with, or that type of thing. And that's innately known to your inner knower, to your innermost self. I mean, people are aware that we're social animals and that we need each other, and that we can get more done as a as a group than we can. I mean, you could build a log cabin by yourself, but it sure is a lot easier if you have, 10 friends and family members coming over to help you build it, and then you can walk over and help the other person that helped you at a later date or whatever. So I, maybe getting too philosophical here, but I really believe that we've gone too far. The pendulum has swung far too far in many ways. And the apex of that, in my studied view, is a currency system that fails. And this can change rapidly. And when it changes, whether it's rapidly or slowly over time, it changes. And during that change, it's not only a change of value, it's a change of values, meaning what we just outlined. It was what is meaningful, what is important, what do I cherish, what do I take with me? And it's, hey, that friend of mine that really was there for me. That's a priceless thing. I mean, remember the old MasterCard ads, it would show something like a grandfather sitting in the bleachers and his grandson hits his first home run. It says, what's the price of a home run of your grandson? Priceless. For everything else, there's MasterCard. So it's kind of putting money in, actually, all I say is proper context. Some of the best things in life are free, and money is just a tool that we need in the current situation or the current paradigm to interact with each other. But certainly, if you make it your God, you've misplaced your faith.
I think, and I was talking to Rafi Farber about our lives right now being built on something unreal. And as you mentioned, we can't make money the ultimate, right? But it's another example right now of something that is not real. We're living a life that is fake, right? Because the government can just create currency out of nothing and it's not backed by anything. And we're buying into this, but it's fake. And we're also living, fake relationships. We're living, the government's telling us lies, right? There's these lies that we're believing throughout our life. And it seems like what you're saying is we have to move back to something real on all levels, on a monetary level, on a friendship level, on a government level. All those levels have to, honesty has to be restored.
Right. I maybe coined this or not. I mean, I've come up with this. I don't say it often, but I've said when you can lie about money, you can lie about everything, or you can lie about anything. When you can lie about money, you can lie about anything. And it just goes back to what you said. If the whole basis of society is on commerce, exchange between people for goods and services, and that's based on something that some group gets to make out of thin air, then that's a lie. You're living a lie. You cannot get something for that. And if you can lie about that, then what else? And what happens is we've witnessed as that lie continues to perpetuate from basically 1971 till now, when we went off the dollar standard, what was exchangeable for gold, you get more and more corruption in all systems, not just the monetary system. But people look at it either knowledgeably or subconsciously saying, well, I could chisel off of so-and-so because, after all, the whole system is a big, big lie. So it really does corrupt our interactions with each other. I still believe to my innermost being that most people are good. None of us are perfect, but most of us are good. And that's something I think we just need to get back to. I just really, really believe that less is more in the future, meaning maybe having less choices is actually going to be better for us because maybe our choices will be wiser rather than on a superficial level.
And if people are interested in learning more, I know you have a documentary coming out about silver, about honest money. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Sure. There's a new web page. It's called silversunrise.tv. And it's a documentary about the stress of money and how to overcome it. But it's money covers almost everything. But I'm going to cover many topics in the film. The underwriting narration will be about the monetary system. But, organic farming, better education, natural means of healing, better communities. I mean, all these topics. Energy, is there such a thing as free energy, or are there energy systems that we could be using that are superior to what we are now? And on it goes. So it's hopefully it will be picked up by Netflix And I'll be able to do a series because just touching on all those topics will whet the appetites of many that view the documentary. But it certainly can't go into depth with 90-minute film. But it's a passion. It's something I want to get out before too long, so I can help people that are in our genre and people that are not. I just want to do it as more or less what I've always strived to do, and that is not agree with me, not disagree with me. I just want you to think for yourself. I want people to use critical thinking and have a better understanding of what I call wisdom, how the world works and how to work with the world and make it a better place for you and everyone around you.
The website is themorganreport.com, but any last thoughts you'd like to leave with our viewers?
No, just maybe just to compliment you. I mean, I know I've said this in the past, but meeting you so many years ago and seeing how far you've come, and you were great then, but you just keep getting better. So as a personal relationship, it's been really, really good to have all these years spent with you, and thanks for the interview.
Right back at you, David, and thank you so much for taking the time. Our viewers always appreciate these interviews with you.
Miles Franklin Precious Metals is one of America's oldest and most trusted bullion dealers. Miles Franklin is A+ rated and accredited by the Better Business Bureau, licensed and bonded, and has 0 complaints ever registered. Here at Liberty and Finance, we are licensed brokers with Miles Franklin. To order, simply call us, discuss your needs, and we can let you know our live inventory, prices, and availability, and lock in your order over the phone. Once your order is locked, the price is held for you regardless of market fluctuations, and the metals are reserved for you awaiting your settled payment. Within 1 business day of ordering, you will receive an email invoice detailing the order and payment instructions. Miles Franklin accepts payments by bank wire, ACH or electronic check, money order, check mailed priority mail, and cryptocurrency. The fastest forms of payment are bank wire and cryptocurrency. Upon settled payment, metals will ship out within 3 to 5 business days. You will receive tracking information via email. Domestic shipping charges are $15 for any order under 500 ounces of silver or 10 ounces of gold. For orders larger than that, domestic shipping is free. The package will be boxed, fully insured, and labeled discreetly, with no indication of the contents inside. For your privacy, the name Miles Franklin will not even be on the package. To talk to myself, Kaiser, my brother Elijah, or my father Dunnigan, call 1-888-81-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-815-4237.